Good morning, everyone. Today we are starting day one of Donna Adelson's trial. We are starting with opening statements. So because Donna Adelson is being charged with a first-degree murder type, it is going to be 12 jurors. Typically in Florida, I think it was like around maybe 6 jurors that would typically be seated. We also had an emergency motion from Wendi Adelson's attorney. Now, Wendi Adelson is Donna Adelson's daughter. And remember, a lot of people think that Wendi Adelson might be involved in this whole plan to have her ex-husband murdered just so she could move all the way down to the Miami area where the rest of her family lives. You know, they had 2 boys together. They were living in Tallahassee. Wendi didn't seem to be very happy with the situation. The court denied her, not allowing her to move down to Tallahassee to be closer with her family, or sorry, not Tallahassee, to the Miami area to be closer to her family. And so there was this whole plot orchestrated by Charlie Adelson, Donna Adelson, to have Dan Markel murdered. Now, Charlie has already been convicted. The 2 hitmen have already been convicted. Catherine McBanwell, the one that was the go-to person between the hitman and Charlie Adelson, she's already been convicted. So we're going to see some familiar faces here in this trial. I think Charlie Adelson's going to be testifying. There's this picture this is a picture that was from Twitter. Looks like Charlie Adelson's like in line, I don't know, to get checked into the courthouse possibly, or I don't know. That kind of looks like an airport. Maybe they flew him. I think they did fly. It kind of looks like an airport, right? But guess who else is there? Harvey is there. This is a screen grab that I took from Surviving the Survivor podcast. I don't know what Harvey's doing with his hands. Saying hello, doing a little grabby grab thing. I don't know, but he's there. That was expected. I expected him to be there. Oh, that's right. I was going to talk about Wendi Adelson's motion to quash her subpoena. So Wendi Adelson, when she testified in Charlie's trial, she was granted immunity, meaning anything that she testified about, they couldn't go after her using that and, prosecute her. Same thing here with Donna Adelson's trial. She is granted immunity. She was subpoenaed by the state. So when she testifies for the state, anything that she says on the stand, again, same thing. She's granted immunity. They can't use it against her. However, when Wendi was given a subpoena by the defense, Wendi was like, well, if you're going to call me, I'm just going to say, I'm going to assert my 5th Amendment right. I'm just not going to say anything. So there's no point in you calling me and me having to go in front of the jury and for me to keep saying, no, I assert my 5th Amendment right over and over and over again. I mean, quite honestly, it might be a waste of the jury's time, and then it might not look good for Wendi anyways. So they dealt with that this week. It was an emergency motion. And because Wendi was going to be subpoenaed by the defense, the defense, they can't be like, well, we're going to subpoena you and we're also going to grant you immunity. The defense doesn't have that power. Only the state does. So I believe that was granted, and we'll see how the family dynamic is. I mean, honestly, I think Wendi just completely cut out her family. I heard that she moved from, was she living in Florida before? And I think she's living in like Texas now or something like that. So it seems like Wendi has really distanced herself from the family. It could be because she realized that her family members did it, or she just, doesn't want to be dragged into it if she was involved, and she doesn't want to be further a part of this whole thing. Sarah Dugan from the state's prosecution team is going to start off strong with the opening statement. She's going to tell the jury what the big issue was with the Adelson family and what they decided to do to come to a solution.
Back in 2014, this defendant's family had a big problem. And the big problem was Dan Markel. And the solution to that problem was the defendant's son, Charlie Adelson. Charlie Adelson was the solution because he had a girlfriend with connections to the type of people who were willing and capable of pointing a gun at a complete stranger and pulling the trigger.
And she tells the jury that law enforcement investigated different paths, and no matter which path they took, it all led to Donna.
There was no fingerprints, no DNA, no bullet casing, nothing was stolen. And so police began to suspect that this may be a professional killing. The little evidence that they do have sends them down 2 separate paths. One path is to track down that light-colored Prius that the neighbor saw fleeing from the scene. And the other is to identify who was inside that Prius. And the other path relates to motive. Who in Dan Markel's life would hate him enough to hire a professional killer?
Oh, Wendi Adelson will tell you soon in her police interview. She's going to run her mouth.
To kill him. And after years of tireless investigation, both of these paths led directly to this defendant.
For those of you guys who have not followed this case, don't know anything about it, once you hear the motive, you might think that this whole thing was just crazy.
Dan Markel was entangled in a very nasty divorce with his ex-wife, who is the defendant's daughter, and his ex-wife is named Wendi Adelson. A review of the divorce case file reveals that Wendi Adelson had asked the court to allow her to relocate to Miami, where she was from and where her parents lived.
There's Harvey. Now, Harvey and Donna, they were not at Charlie's trial, but there's Harvey now.
Her children and Dan Markel's children, in order to be closer to her mother, Donna Adelson, to her father, whose name is Harvey Adelson, and to her brother, whose name is Charlie Adelson. The victim, Dan Markel, as y'all can imagine, is adamantly opposed to this, to his children being relocated to Miami. He works here in Tallahassee. He's a law professor here in Tallahassee. This is where he lives. This is where his kids have been raised. He wants his children here with him. A review by law enforcement of Wendi Adelson's emails made it clear that her mother, the defendant, hated Dan Markel and was the relentless driving force behind Wendi's relocation efforts to South Florida.
And you're going to find out just how controlling, domineering, how crazy Donna was when it came to being involved in her children's lives. There's a reason why one of her kids don't want to have anything to do with her anymore. And I think he's going to be testifying in this case. So I look forward to that.
The defendant's participation in her children's lives went beyond mere involvement or even meddling. She was extremely controlling.
Yep.
She had very strong opinions about all the decisions in Wendi Adelson's life, whether it be about her career, her relationships, or even purchasing a home. And if Wendi Adelson would not do as the defendant wanted her to do, the defendant often then enlisted Charlie Adelson, her son, Wendi's brother, to solve the problem by getting him to kind of go to Wendi and persuade Wendi until Wendi ultimately agreed to do what the defendant wanted her to do. And while the defendant had always been controlling of her children's lives, the emails uncovered by law enforcement showed that this defendant was desperate to find a way for Wendi and Dan Markel's children, her grandchildren, to be able to relocate to Miami. The defendant told Wendi that she deserved more than just a life teaching in Tallahassee without her family, and that Dan Markel was essentially holding her hostage in Tallahassee because of his job. During the divorce and custody battle, the defendant's email showed that she was heavily involved in Wendi's court case, even going so far as to draft and edit the documents that Wendi and her attorney were filing in court, and emailing Wendi instructions for her attorney on arguments her attorney should make and what her attorney should do. The defendant would guilt trip Wendi Adelson about how much time she and her husband, Harvey Adelson, were having to spend away from their dental practice to visit Wendi and the grandkids in Tallahassee, and complain about how the family was losing income, losing patients because of their constant absences from the practice. And the defendant instructed Wendi Adelson that relocation to Miami was the most important priority in this divorce, and if it had to be her non-negotiable in the divorce.
I'm pretty sure Donna could have had another office person to replace her, and then also for Harvey not being in the office, wasn't Charlie Russell also running the practice as well?
Not only did the judge deny Wendi's relocation motion, but the judge dismissed it in a way that prevented Wendi Adelson from requesting the relocation again. So Wendi would not be permitted to move to Miami to be close to the defendant and her husband with the children at that time or ever, unless of course something happened to Dan Markel.
And Donna, well, she's not the type to give up. Donna's a force to be reckoned with. These are the crazy things that she was trying to pull in order to get Dan to change his mind.
After that was denied, the defendant told Wendi Adelson in emails that Dan Markel has not beaten the Adelson family yet. She let Wendi know that the Adelson family is a team and they are trying to win. Donna Adelson suggested in her emails several bribes to get Dan Markel to agree to relocation, like plane tickets, paying for her grandson's education, and the defendant even suggested offering Dan Markel a $1 million bribe to allow the relocation, to let Wendi move to Miami with the boys. And if the bribes didn't work, the defendant also suggested several ways that Wendi could threaten or bully Dan Markel into submission.
I think they were going to get Charlie to pay for the bribes too. I think it was going to be like split 3 ways between Donna and Harvey and then Charlie, and then maybe another portion coming from, was it Wendi? I don't know. Why would Charlie pay for this?
The defendant told Wendi to aggravate Dan Markel like he aggravates you, and the defendant set out a plan of action that the defendant told Wendy would make Dan Markel absolutely miserable. And she's detailing all of these in her emails. So, for the plan of action, the defendant knew that Dan Markel was devoutly Jewish. So she came up with the idea for Wendy to pose Dan Markel's sons for pictures in front of a Catholic church, and then post the pictures to social media, and even announce on social media she was getting the children baptized, just to make it appear to Dan Markel that she was changing their religion. The defendant assured Wendy Adelson that this would all be an act to get Dan Markel to agree to let her move to Miami, but told Wendy Adelson that in order...
People like this are the worst. When you use the kids against the parents and you do whatever you can to weaponize them, it's fucking horrible.
In order to pull off this stunt, she had to put on the acting performance of her life.
And how did Wendy do?
The defendant said that it did not matter to her if Wendy had to dress her two little toddlers up in Nazi or SS uniforms, as long as she was able to get them to South Florida and show Dan Markel that he was not in control. The defendant repeatedly told Wendy Adelson that the rest of her life, meaning Wendy's life, as well as the defendant's life, Harvey Adelson's life, and Charlie Adelson's life, depended on Wendy Adelson and the boys being able to relocate to Miami. And the defendant said that she would never, never, never give up and never stop fighting for Wendy and the boys to be relocated to Miami. And she never did.
Sarah Dugan is now going to get into the grandma motion.
A few months before the murder, in 2014, Dan Markel alleged that the defendant, Donna Adelson, was disparaging him to his children. He was very worried about her trying to alienate him from his children. She was doing this by calling him stupid in front of the boys and telling the boys that Dan Markel was trying to take them away from her. Dan Markel asked the court to prevent this defendant from having unsupervised contact with her grandchildren. And this motion was still pending in court when Dan Markel was killed. 48 hours after Dan Markel was killed, after the shooting happened, Wendy Adelson and the little boys relocated to Miami, moved into the defendant's home with her, and the boys started school down the street.
Crazy.
And just like that, their father was effectively erased from their lives, and the Adelsons' big problem had been solved. Harvey Adelson and Charlie Adelson are dentists there, and the defendant managed their accounts at the office. She was the details person. And this defendant, though, she managed much more than just the office for the Adelson family. She was the matriarch, and a domineering one at that. She ran the office, the home, and the lives of the Adelson family members.
Now, what's crazy is that law enforcement got wind of Charlie, got wind of Harvey and Donna pretty quickly, because the day that Dan Markel was shot at, well, they brought Wendy Adelson in for an interview. And within the first, 10 minutes of the interview, she already dropped names like Charlie, Donna, Harvey, saying that they could have had motive to do this. It's crazy.
Wendy Adelson acknowledged that her family had a motive to want Dan Markel dead, and said that her parents had more reason to dislike Dan Markel than anybody else. At one point in the interview, police allowed Wendy Adelson to make a phone call to her parents to let them know that Dan Markel had been shot. And after she got off the phone with her mother, the defendant, Wendy Adelson said to police, "Well, they acted surprised, so that's a relief." And when asked by law enforcement if anyone could have killed Dan Markel on her behalf, she also told the police about her brother, Charlie Adelson. Wendy admitted to police that her brother, Charlie Adelson, had joked that he looked into hiring a hitman to kill Dan Markel as a divorce present, but decided to buy her a TV instead because it was...
I think Wendy started getting nervous that they were going to come after her, so she started giving her family away. That's what I think. I think she was like, oh shit, like I can't do this. It's under pressure. I'm being interviewed. This is too much. Let me just start giving away my family members. That way I look the least suspicious. She threw them under the bus.
It was cheaper. And what do you know? The same TV that Charlie Adelson bought his sister as a divorce gift would be Wendy Adelson's alibi the morning of the murder.
What a random ass gift.
An alibi, the TV repair appointment that was set up by her parents Harvey Adelson and Donna Adelson, the defendant.
Sarah Dugan also mentions a third path of finding out who did this. Follow the money. Here's what the two hitmen and then the woman who connected the hitman to the Adelson family, this is what they spent the money on.
Rivera and Garcia both bought motorcycles and cars. Magbanois got a breast augmentation surgery and later received a black Lexus sedan whose previous owner was Harvey Adelson. Catherine Magbanois' bank records were analyzed, and there was no check ever written or matching cash withdrawal for the car or the breast augmentation. Bank records also showed that Magbanois' account had a huge spike in cash deposits around the time.
And mind you, it wasn't like Catherine Magbanois got like a new ass, was it like a Lexus or something? I forgot what she said, from Harvey Adelson. No, it was like some old ass car, man. I think it was like 10 plus years old. It's like you did all that for a boob job, for an old ass car. And I guess like she ended up probably getting what, 50 grand at the end of the day or something like that.
The time of the murder, she deposited more money in her.
How is that worth it? Her kids must be like, what the fuck, mom? Like, seriously, you ruin our lives for that? Really?
Account in the 5 weeks after the murder than in the entire year before the murder. About 2 months after the murder, this defendant added Catherine Magbanois to the payroll at the Adelson family's dental practice.
Yep.
The one that she kept the accounts for, the defendant kept the accounts for. And the defendant started issuing her regular checks from their business account every 2 weeks, despite the fact that she did not work there at the time. Magbanois didn't work there.
And this is the reason why law enforcement believes that there was a nexus between the Adelson family, Catherine Magbanois, and then the two hitmen.
Law enforcement noticed a distinct pattern of communication surrounding important events, or dates in this case. The phone calls always went from this defendant to her son, Charlie Adelson, and then from her son, Charlie Adelson, to his girlfriend, Catherine Magbanois, and then from his girlfriend, Catherine Magbanois, to the shooter, Garcia, and then back the other way, like train cars. They only seem to touch the car directly in front and directly behind them. The defendant never calls her son's girlfriend, Catherine Magbanois, or the shooter, or vice versa. Charlie Adelson never calls the shooter, or vice versa. So, if this is a murder for hire conspiracy, as law enforcement suspects, could it be that the defendant and Charlie Adelson are wisely insulating themselves from the actual shooters by having Magbanois act as the middleman?
At this point, it's been 2 years since Dan Markel was murdered. In order to get conversation generated between all the people that were involved, law enforcement decided to do what was called a bump. Essentially, they would wiretap Donna's phone, Charlie's phone, and essentially they had a undercover agent go up to Donna to try to blackmail her. So this starts a frenzy of conversations between the Adelson family and Catherine Magbanois and then the hitman.
The fact that the blackmailer never mentioned Charlie Adelson to her. On that first call, you would think the first thing that Donna Adelson would say to Charlie Adelson is, "Oh my God, so crazy. Some man just came up to me, handed me an article about Danny's murder, and he's demanding money from us." But she never says any of that.
Nope.
In fact, the defendant never says Dan Markel's name at all. Instead, she tells Charlie Adelson that she needs to talk to him in person about some paperwork that was just delivered to her. She said that it involves the two of us, and that he should know what she's talking about. The defendant and Charlie Adelson.
So weird. They were semi-talking in code, but at the same time, it's like all or nothing, man. Why semi-talk in code? If you're going to talk in code, go all the way. Or you know what? Stop communicating on the phone. Stop texting each other. Stop emailing each other.
And she says that he should bring cash to their meeting. And she says the TV is probably about 5.
Also, they are still denying that they were speaking in code. They're still denying that. After Charlie talks to Donna Adelson, his mother, he goes to Katie and meets up with her.
Charlie Adelson gives Magbanois very precise instructions on how to deal with the blackmailer. He tells her to call the blackmailer and tell her that my friends, meaning the Adelson family, have no idea what you're talking about. And I'm just going to give you this money as charity. But don't contact these people again or they'll go to the police. And Charlie Adelson said,
"How is that believable in any way? How is that believable? Someone randomly comes up to you, blackmails you for money, and you don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And instead of going to the police, you're just going to be like, you know what? You blackmailed me, and I actually feel bad for you. Because you're in a position to blackmail me, I'm just going to give you charity and give you $5,000, okay? But don't come to me again, all right? I won't pay you ever again." Like, that doesn't make sense. Of course they're going to come back to you again and ask for more money, number one. And two, who the fuck just gives away $5,000 when you didn't do anything? And you just go to law enforcement about it.
So after that undercover operation was over in 2016, Luis Rivera and Sigfredo Garcia are arrested, and they're charged with the same charges before y'all in this trial. Luis Rivera, who was the second person in that Prius, cut a deal with the state and told law enforcement the truth about the murder of Dan Markel and the people responsible for it.
Yep.
He told police that he was hired by his longtime friend Garcia to help kill Dan Markel. Rivera described how Garcia told him that this was a job that Magbanois was able to get for them, and it was in Tallahassee, and it paid $100,000, and that Rivera was going to get a third of the money. Rivera said that during the trip to Tallahassee, Garcia had a piece of paper with a picture of the man that they were hired to kill and some handwritten notes. And during that trip, Rivera said that the first call that either of them made after the homicide was from Garcia to Magbanois, where Garcia told her that the job was done, and Magbanois assured them they would get their money the next day, which they did. That Magbanois brought the money the next morning to Rivera's home. And law enforcement checked cell phone records, which corroborated Rivera's information. Law enforcement told police that the money that he received from Magbanois the next day was packaged in a very unusual way. The money was basically in stacks of 1,000. Each stack was made up of $100 bills that were then stapled together. And after each stack was stapled together of 1,000. And after learning this from Rivera, Magbanois was arrested, and that was in October of 2016. 3 years after Garcia's arrest, in 2019, he was convicted at his trial. Law enforcement continue, though, to gather evidence. They continue to interview people who may possibly have information and to clarify all of these recordings the FBI did that couldn't be clearly heard. And thanks to their tireless efforts, in March of 2022, Charlie Adelson was indicted. 2 months later, in May of 2022, Catherine Magbanois' case went to trial, and she was convicted. However, after being...
Imagine the jury's reaction when the state calls Katie out for doing it for a boob job and a crusty old car and whatever money that she was getting from the dental institute.
Being convicted at trial and sentenced, Magbanois finally decided to testify about the plot to kill Dan Markel and admitted that she was the connection between the Adelson family and the killers hired to kill Dan Markel. Magbanois testified in Charlie Adelson's trial in October of 2023 and said that Charlie Adelson wanted to hire someone to kill his sister's ex because his mom was stressed out over all of the problems his sister was having with her ex-husband. Magbanois said Charlie painted a picture that Wendy's ex was this terrible man causing his mom so much stress that she couldn't sleep or eat. Magbanois agreed to help him and ended up recruiting her children's father, Garcia, and also Rivera to kill Dan Markel. She says that the night of the murder, she went to Charlie Adelson's house.
What did they give Katie for testifying for this? Did they give her something? Ain't no way she did it for free.
To pick up the payment for the murder. And when she arrived, Charlie Adelson said that his parents had just been at the house and that Charlie Adelson had the money for her there. Law enforcement was able to corroborate this claim with phone evidence showing that Donna Adelson went to Charlie Adelson's house the night of the murder. Magbanois then spent the night with Charlie Adelson that night, and the next morning, on July 19th, he put the money that she was to divide up into the trunk of her car. Magbanois says several things about the money stood out to her. She said it was stapled together in stacks of $100 bills and that it was damp like wet. She then delivered the money to Garcia and Rivera afterwards. When Catherine Magbanois said that when Charlie...
Donna literally washed the money. Like, wash the money. Usually the term wash the money means you're like laundering the money, but no, Donna took the money and she fucking washed it, I guess, to make sure her DNA wasn't on there.
When she asked Charlie Adelson about the money being damp, he said that his mother the defendant had actually washed the money, and that she and Charlie Adelson kind of laughed about the fact that the defendant had literally washed the money so it couldn't be traced. Bribes in exchange for false testimony in this trial. They said Donna Adelson promised them money, housing, veneers, prescription drugs, if they were willing to testify that Catherine Magbanois told them a completely different story about the crime than the one that she would be testifying to. So
Donna was actually in jail with some women. There were some women that were actually previously housed with Catherine Magbanois. So I guess when Donna found that, I was like, oh my God, you were previously in jail with Catherine? Okay, well, can you lie for me and say that she told you X, Y, and Z? And you know what? I'll give you some money. What do you want? You want veneers? You want drugs? What do you want? I got you. You want housing? I got you. You want to go to Vietnam? I got you.
Informant was even able to show law enforcement a script a question and answer session for a direct examination in trial that Donna Adelson herself wrote, and that Donna Adelson wanted.
Oh, what is this? Why did you speak to her? I know I had information about Katie from the many times I had been with her in jail. What did you tell her? Shit, I can't read that part. Oh, this is new. I haven't seen this yet.
Wanted this informant to memorize and come into court and perjure herself by reciting it to you here in trial.
Now we got the defense. Jackie Fulford is one of the co-counsels who is representing Donna Adelson, and the state's opening was probably about over an hour long. I would say Jackie's opening was maybe like 20 minutes. It was quite short.
Heard a lot about how she hated him. She said some ugly things during the divorce. Some foul things, actually. But you're going to learn through the evidence why that was occurring and how she was actually interacting with Danny. They're two very different things.
Now listen to attorney Jackie. Listen to how she describes Donna Adelson.
She's kind, caring, loving. She cares more about people than she does about herself.
She cares more about people than she cares about herself. And then she ends up throwing her son under the bus.
The money that was in stacks, stapled, $100 bills, all $100, well, there might have been something other than $100 bills, but each stack was $1,000, stapled together. And you're going to hear testimony that that's exactly what he did with his money. He kept it and saved it for a long time. And you're probably going to hear testimony that this happens on July 18th, and on July the 19th, Mr. Adelson, Charlie Adelson, which is her son, gave approximately between $130,000 and $138,000 that he had in his safe that he collected and stapled together. His money went to her, not Miss Adelson.
I think they're going to throw Charlie under the bus. Oh, man. They're saying that Charlie paid. Donna had nothing to do with it. It's Charlie's money, not Donna's money. Oh, shit. They're taking down this route.
They can prove and have that he paid her to get them to kill Danny Markell. That's what they can prove. And they've done it 1, 2, 3, 4 times.
Yo, I wish you could see the look on my face right now. Damn, they're saying Charlie did it. Donna had nothing to do with it. I think that's the best course of action. It was Charlie. Don't drag mom into this. Or grandmother.
Mrs. Adelson was the reason that this happened. They've told this story, and it's outrageous. It gets people's attention. It's made a lot of money for the media, interviews, specials. Some people in jury selection said they had watched these specials. Lawyers on there, investigators on there. They made a lot of money for the media, and it got big attention because this is outrageous, what happened. It is truly outrageous. But what's more outrageous is, without any evidence, only motive and theory, they put her at the top of this pyramid. She's the matriarch. She's a matriarch mastermind behind Danny being killed, and they don't have evidence of that. That's what's outrageous. It's outrageous that he got killed, but it's also outrageous that we're sitting here with a jury, and you're going to hear a lot of theory, a lot of motive, and a lot of what they believe the evidence.
I don't know how they're going to get around the digital trail, the phone calls, the emails. How are we going to get around that, defense? I don't know, Jackie. Maybe you got something up your sleeve.
This means they don't get to decide that. The evidence is what the evidence is, and I ask you to patiently sit here and really pay attention to all of the evidence that you hear, every witness that they put on, every piece of evidence that they present to you.
Listen, Donna is going to throw Charlie under the bus again.
The evidence about the $3,000 a month, I have that here on this board. $3,000 a month.
Okay.
Charlie Adelson gave $2,000 a month, and he instructed his mother, for reasons you're going to learn.
Oh man, I got to slow it down a little bit. He instructed the mom to pay. The mom didn't know why she was paying it. She was just doing it. Oh shit.
Trial out of his business account to put her on payroll. She worked for him and she paid that money. It's this man's money, not Donna Adelson's. At the end of listening to all of the evidence, we're going to have an opportunity to make closing arguments. And the judge is then going to give you, well, he's going to give it before, he's going to give you all of the instructions on.
But even if it was Charlie's money, and even if he was taking money from his business account and told Donna to pay Katie $2,000 a month or whatever the fuck it is, why would Donna do it? And it's not like Donna didn't know what was going on in the dental practice. She was the one who was working the books. She'd be like, Why am I paying this woman $2,000 a month if she ain't doing work here? Why would Donna do it? Why would Donna do it? Our first witness is going to be Mr. James Geiger, who is the neighbor of Dan Markel. He was the one that heard a loud bang, and so he decides to go over to check out to see what is going on with Dan Markel, his neighbor. When he looks out of the window, this is the view that he sees of the driveway.
Or is this the view from that window?
Yes,
All
this
right.
is what I saw as I looked out.
Okay, and the driveway that we can see there on the right side of the window, is that Dan Markel's driveway?
Yes, it is.
All right, so you've described that something got your attention. Can we have States 3, please?
Well, as I mentioned, I wasn't sure where the noise had come from, and I looked to the left and to the right, and as I looked to the right, there was a car that was rapidly backing out of the driveway. I just wanted to make sure everything was okay.
Yes,
and
sir.
so I walked into the actual driveway then, and I saw that the window, the driver's side window, had been shattered, and I stepped on glass at that same time. As I looked inside, I saw a bloody head, and the head was slowly moving back and forth, rolling back and forth, left to right, and I hollered immediately, "Danny, what happened?" And I didn't get any response other than the head rolling, so I hollered again, Danny, what's happened?" Still nothing. And at that point, I knew that I had to get the emergency medical team there as quickly as I could.
Here are some photos of Dan Markel's driveway. He was parked in his garage with the garage door open, and he was on the phone when he was shot twice.
We heard a loud bang, the car pulled away from next door. I came over and looked in, the garage door was up. And I thought the gentleman was backing out. I went back to my house, but never backed out. And I came back over, and his driver's side window was shattered, and he was battered, and can't answer. He's inside. I don't know if somebody tried to shoot him, or if he shot himself, or what. I don't know.
These are crime scene photos of the vehicle, Dan Markel's glasses that fell, that was on the ground, the lens. Here's a picture of when one of the bullet went through. There's like a hole indent. And then they also took pictures of Wendi Adelson's vehicle. And inside of that was a bullet rye bourbon. And if you guys aren't familiar with this case, we'll get into that because it gets pretty interesting. Here's Donna, by the way. She's crying. Apparently they're showing pictures of Dan Markel in the hospital. And honestly, given what we know about Donna, to me, it's all fake. Donna does not care about Dan. And I guess it was so bad that the state decided to call it out and do a sidebar to talk to the judge about this. Look at Donna. I don't know, man. I feel like she's really playing it up. What do you guys think?
So we do x-rays, and this is an x-ray of the head. You can see the top of the head here, the jaw, right side, left side, and these really bright spots here, and here are the bullets that we recovered from this individual. They come out because they're very dense. The x-rays bounce off and turn them white here, just like bone. It's fairly dense. These are the bullets here and here. Gunshot wound here. It's labeled number 1 in the autopsy report, and this is number 2, labeled number 2 in the autopsy report.
Here's footage of Donna crying and upset in the courtroom.
So this isn't true stippling, which is due to gunpowder, and we'll see an example of that in a minute. But so we have large areas of pseudo-stippling around the left side of the face and left side of the neck and ear.
Here's another one.
Because of the shelf of bone that's there, it's called a glabella, so it causes a irregular entry wound. And now we're seeing a much finer area of stippling.
Now here's another one.
The first shot went through the closed car window. So the first shot would have been to the...
Oh, here's more. So Dan Markel's injuries are pretty straightforward. 2 gunshot wounds to the head. That is essentially what the medical examiner goes over during his testimony.
I do feel it is important at this point, Mrs. Adelson, when the testimony is occurring or the evidence, I know you may have a natural reaction, but as best possible.
A natural reaction?
Or the evidence, I know you may have a natural reaction, but as best possible, you need to control your reactions concerning any head movements, any expressions of disagreement, or any emotional outbursts. The jury must decide this matter on the merits, on the evidence. Do you understand this? Very well. I do not wish to do this in front of the jurors at all, but it's very important that you are able to control your emotions. Do you understand what I'm saying? Does either party need to be heard before we before we go into the lunch break?
So everyone comes back after the lunch break. The jury's waiting, and they are discussing the emails that the state wants to enter in as evidence. These are emails between Donna and Wendi.
Mrs. Adelson hated the victim, and that hatred extended to his parents as well.
Georgia said that Mrs. Adelson hated the victim, and that extended to his family as well.
As it relates to the comments going toward the parents.
I think it's relevant, Judge. It goes toward motive. She did not want these children to be with the father and with the father's family. She wanted them with her family. And that's what happened.
That's not what this email says.
Right. That's not what the email said. It's not a confession of murder. It's a expression of dislike. It just goes to the motive.
Go, Georgia. I want to see those emails.
Yes, we've asked for limiting instruction. This is not directed towards Danny Markell. I mean, if you take a look at it, Mrs. Adelson is complaining that Danny and Wendy have to schlep the boys down to see his parents instead of them driving up to see the boys. It has nothing to do with trying to keep the boys from the family. So I'm not sure what limiting instruction would be effective, but this is as to, it doesn't express any animus to Danny. So I'm not sure what the court would suggest.
His family.
The state's theory is not hatred towards Danny Markell's family. And so I'm
Ms. Kaplan,
confused.
as to the state's theory, please clarify this issue.
State's theory includes that Mrs. Adelson hated all things Dan Markell, and all things Dan Markell needed to be erased from these children's lives, including the grandparents. Now, I know Your Honor has precluded me from mentioning visitation of the grandparents and things like that.
So after Dan Markell was murdered, they essentially blocked his parents from visiting their own grandchildren.
But obviously, that's always been a part of the state's theory. I understand that I'm limited from including that, but it is important to show that this animus existed as far back as 3/28 of 11.
We're not going to be wasting a lot of time on this back and forth. This is the point of pretrial motions. On this point, as it relates to the state's theory of the case, that the defendant had animus towards the deceased or his family. It will be permitted on those grounds.
And this is just the beginning of the judge getting a little bit annoyed with what's going on here.
64D is an email dated 10/26/12. May I approach?
You know?
This email is from Donna Adelson, Wendy Adelson, showing her a list of prospective love interests from the website. Mrs. Adelson has identified as potential matches for Wendy. It's offered to show how controlling.
Man, I'm watching The Gilded Age right now, and back in those days, you know, women didn't really have much choice. They were ruled by their parents. Parents made their decision, especially like women in the upper class area, where it's like the mom would choose who you're marrying. Okay, this is what Donna was doing. Donna was doing this. What, 200 years later? Donna was like going through potential love matches and interests for Wendy, like controlling her. Wendy was what? How old was she at this time? Late 20s, early 30s, maybe? Just controlling her life.
Donna Adelson was over her children's lives, how much she inserted herself into their private lives. And again, she likes to be in control of who they date and who they marry. An email dated June 27/13. And the objection in this case relates to the characterization of Judge Hobbs as a, can't find the quote, but something like a Southern black lady. They just were proposing redacting that. Find the page for Your Honor.
What did she say? Southern black lady? So it seems like the state wants to admit this email in, and the defense, they want to redact the portion where Donna Adelson calls another judge a Southern black lady.
I think it's prejudicial, so I don't know why we're redacting. Whatever Your Honor thinks on that one, Judge.
Folks.
I believe the jury could take that as in a very derogatory way. It has absolutely nothing to do with this case, that comment. Nothing. Unless there's another motive I don't know about.
This email is an email regarding Wendy moving, and evidence is going to show that she moved from a more secure location to a less secure location. So the relevance is sort of going to have to be developed as the trial goes on. But the idea is that there was no fear for Wendy's safety.
This is regarding Wendy moving. It had the same security as where she was living with her mother, so less secure. There's nothing in here that indicates that.
I'm going to ask Ms. Adelson about that. My understanding is it is less secure. They're asking lots of questions, but they're not about security, which if they're being actively extorted under threat for their lives, one would expect and would inquire about such a thing.
One thing, though, that is starting to trouble me with this. We had many motion hearings in this matter, and we've continued this case several times to handle these matters pre-trial. Why is this coming up now?
The exhibit that we were provided with, I went through thoroughly and had all of my objections listed, and then was told that's not correct. It's another binder. It's different emails. The binder I was handed by the state was completely discombobulated. Not.
I'm wondering the same thing, Judge. The judge is like, why the fuck are we doing this now? We had all the pretrial stuff.
In date order. It was a train wreck.
As the state's exhibit you're referring to.
That's correct. And so then they provided us with this binder. It appears to maybe still be missing something, but they have a list, an exhibit list, everything laid out by date, by Exhibit A, all the sub-exhibit numbers. So that's why, Your Honor.
We're not going to waste the jurors' times.
And it's an email about whether one of the children is sad.
64II, Judge, is an email specifically in which the defendant is claiming that the child cannot be sad about the death of his father. Extremely relevant. But it relates back to the motive in thinking that it wouldn't harm the children. It was going to be good for the children to get rid of their father. Children have no memory prior to this young age that the father was killed. I think it goes to motive, Judge. I'm sorry, from Wendy to Donna. Dear Mom and Dad, here is the phone/Skype plan for the holidays, and she's forwarding a Skype plan from Dan Markel. Please help me do this. It means less stress for me if we just follow it.
Witness number 5 is going to be Craig Isom, who worked with Tallahassee PD, and he is now currently retired.
Portion of the divorce filings contained in State's Demonstrative A that can be directly linked to Donna Adelson.
Yes.
Meaning she saw those items.
Yes.
Objection, lack of foundation.
I believe that's
Lori
what
Vallow's back in Idaho, ain't she?
Captain is doing right now. Overruled.
Move into evidence, State 60, Your Honor.
Please clerk.
Oh no, are they dismissing people? What's going on? I think the jury's getting out. Oh no, the jury's probably like, what fucking day is this? This is day 1? Oh man, the judge doesn't look very happy. Judges hate it when you're wasting the jury's time.
Nearing becoming inclined to send the jurors home for the day, as we are wasting a significant amount of time on matters that were either previously litigated or now are still being challenged for reasons that could have been handled out of court.
Oh man, is that directed at the defense? Because the the direct examination is done by the state right now. I'm assuming the defense is challenging some things, and the judge is not happy because he's like, well, why weren't you guys doing this in pretrial stuff? Now he wants to send the jury home. There's still a lot of time left, Judge. Right now, the local time is, 2:11? The jury still has 3 hours. Damn, the judge is not happy. He's like, you know what, fuck it. Just send the jury home. Y'all are wasting their time. I don't want to waste their time anymore.
Mr. Zellman, for any item that is being objected to with State 60 that you are claiming has no tie to your client's communications, you need to look through that binder now.
Oh, shit.
The objection that we're making concerning that is without laying the foundation through a witness with personal knowledge, there is no tie to my client. Anything, and specifically anything post-dissolution, so post July 31st of 2013 that's in here, there's no evidence.
I heard this argument previously.
Yes.
It has been ruled upon.
Yes.
At this point, if the state has multiple witnesses that the foundation can be laid through, your objection will be noted for the record, but we are going to move on. If you need to look through this binder to match it up with specific communications in which you believe no foundation can be laid, you'll need to take the time. But as far as wasting the jurors' time on this any further today, what else does the defense need to look through concerning these exhibits?
Holy shit. Oh no. Listen, Mr. Zellman, we've all been through that. When you're like, listen, I know I've seen it before. I just don't know where the fuck it is in my binder, but I know I have it. I just gotta locate it. And the fact that you're pressuring me even more, Your Honor. Oh God. Come on, Mr. Zellman. You can do it. Find it. Oh man. Well, Jackie, help him out. Jackie, you don't know where it is in the binder? Come on now. Bail him out. Team organization. Come on, y'all. Come on, Jackie, help him out. What are you doing over there? Maybe Jackie's like, hey, I wasn't supposed to be doing this part of the homework. This is all Mr. Zellman. We got to do some teamwork, though. Yeah, it's completely directed to the defense. I wasn't sure who couldn't locate the items, but now it seems like it's the defense that couldn't locate whatever it is they're trying to locate to say that Donna wasn't involved.
Before we leave here today, if we need to go through every single state exhibit to deal with any objections concerning them, we will do so, however long that takes. But we're not going to be wasting the jurors' time. you requesting for me to send the jurors home for the day?
No. I think I've complied with the court's ruling, and I'm requesting that the exhibit be admitted pursuant to that, and we move on.
There does have to be a foundation as to the nexus between the defendant's either communications or actions and these pleadings. That was the ruling. You can tie up later, but it will not be admitted until the foundation is tied up.
Okay, Judge, I think that would be my preference then.
Very well. Please bring the jurors up.
The jury comes back in, and we continue with Craig Isom's testimony.
And is the content of the email related to what we referred to as the grandma motion?
Yes.
What is the grandma motion?
This is where Dan Markel.
What is the objection?
First of all, lack of foundation, and it's hearsay at this point.
Overruled as to lack of foundation. The investigator may testify as to his personal knowledge of the investigation. Concerning hearsay, Ms. Covenant.
Did Mrs. Adelson respond to this email?
Your Honor, then object again. Mrs.
One
Adelson.
moment. Members of the jury, the bailiff is going to take the vote.
Oh man, the judge asked the jury to take the bailiff to take the jury out.
So, not to sound like a broken record, but that part where the jurors need to go home so the issues concerning these documents can be worked through. Concerning that, Mr. Zellman, what is your position?
Judge, I've said all along.
I know what your argument is, but as to the items that the state is seeking to admit today, are there going to be more challenges of this nature? If you have objections, I will rule on them, but we're not going to waste the jurors' time.
Judge, as to 64AA, my client and her husband shared an email address. There's no evidence as to who sent the...
Oh, this argument. Well, just because it's Donna's email and Donna's, I don't know, I'm assuming maybe there's Donna's like signature at the bottom, doesn't mean that Donna sent it. It could have been Harvey. Harvey could have sent it.
response that the state is trying to get to.
How many parts of 64 is the defense objecting to?
Now we're going to blame it on Harvey. Harvey sent those emails. It wasn't Donna. Harvey did it.
Capital. Concerning AA, does the foundation need to be laid amongst multiple witnesses, or is Detective Isom capable of doing this?
As far as to whom the email address belongs, that will have to be tied up with Wendi Adelson.
Well, is there any other parts of Exhibit 64 that need to be dealt with now while the jurors are out of the room? Please look through it.
I can't imagine sitting in the gallery right now. The air is so tense. There's a miasma in the fucking courtroom right now. Get me out of here.
Are there any other exhibits that pertain to Detective Isom that need to be dealt with while the jurors are out of the room?
The jurors are brought back in again, and we're continuing with the testimony with Craig Isom, again, retired Tallahassee PD. Now, they're going to talk about the reasons why Dan Markel wanted to have Donna to have supervised contact with the children.
That was shown in the court filing that the children reflected that Grandma says you're stupid. Grandma says she hates you. She calls him Elvis.
How about asshole?
I know it's in here.
Take your time.
She calls him a major fucker.
Please refer to tab Q on
That the children between Wendy and Dan start attending, or at least the ruse of them going to a Christian church or a Catholic church.
and to take pictures of it and send it to Dan Markel, right?
Yes.
Here are some surveillance footage from the gym. That's Dan Markel coming to the parking lot. And then you're going to notice that there is a silver Prius that also enters into the parking lot. However, they point out no one ever gets out of there. It's as if they were waiting for Dan Markel the entire time. There's a silver Prius again being circled. Silver Prius following Dan Markel. And Dan Markel is leaving his vehicle at this moment. He's going to the gym. He's going to go work out for about, I think, roughly an hour maybe.
Premier's main doors.
Oh, he looks happy. This is Dan Markel as he's leaving the gym. Again, like roughly about an hour later on.
And will we see the suspect vehicle pull out
It's coming
behind
from the
him?
backside. See it?
Oh, I could barely see it, the Prius back there. I'm glad they have these overlays to label everything. Oh, I think I see the Prius on the left. Wow, they parked so far away. Of course, Dan Markel didn't
Same
see.
suspect vehicle following the direction of Markel's.
So law enforcement was able to track down the silver Prius, and there was a bus that actually caught it on camera. It's actually pulling up behind the Prius right now. That's the car that the two hitmen were in while they were tailing Dan Markel throughout the entire morning. They're pointing out in the Prius right now that there's someone sitting in the passenger seat. They're pretty animated as if they're jumping around.
Slowed down version to try to get a better look at those occupants.
What was the guy doing? Trying to stretch out his arms before he was going to do the shooting or some shit?
All right.
Now, the state, they're moving on pretty quickly. We are already at witness number 6, and it is going to be one of the hitmen. This is going to be Rivera. He is the one that took the plea deal and basically just narked on everyone. I think he does have an affiliation with the Latin King members. Or no, he was the gang leader, I believe. And Donna wanted to have that introduced into this court, but that was denied.
What did you plead to in this case?
This case, guilty
Guilty to what?
to second-degree murder.
And as we're watching this trial, we are trying to get a glimpse of what does the state potentially have on Wendy, because Wendy has not been charged yet. Wendy is the last Adelson family member that people believe is involved in all this. I mean, possibly Harvey as well, but I think Harvey was just kind of like letting Donna take the reins, and he was just kind of like on the sides.
And what was the purpose of this murder as you understood it?
That they wanted the kids.
Who wanted the kids?
Wendy.
Okay. And did you understand that you were killing the father of the kids so that Wendy could have the kids?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you previously referred to a dentist being involved?
Yes, ma'am.
Who was the dentist?
Charlie.
And how was he related?
Katie's boyfriend, side piece, whatever you want to call him.
All right, so Katie was the wife of
Side piece.
Garcia, but also the girlfriend of the dentist?
Yeah.
Did you have any contact with the dentist ever?
No.
Did you have any contact with any member of the Adelson family?
No, ma'am.
Everything went through Katie, right?
Yes, ma'am.
At this portion of the testimony, they're going to talk about why Dan Markel wasn't murdered the first time, because they actually went to see Dan Markel, or to follow Dan Markel, a month prior before he was actually killed.
Why wasn't Dan Markel killed on that first trip, if you know?
If I remember, I wasn't gonna do nothing in front of no kids. But
He had the kids with him?
yeah, yes, he did.
And here again, we have another connection to Wendy.
He was about to leave.
Who was about to leave?
Markel.
About to leave town?
Yeah.
How did you get that information?
I got it from Tudo,
Where did he get the information?
from Katie,
How did she know?
Wendy.
You think Wendy talked to Katie and told her Dan Markel's travel plans?
Yeah.
Were you present for that?
Oh, and I think this was Jeffrey Lacoste. Okay, Jeffrey Lacoste needs to come back and basically just recap everything for us. Because I think Jeffrey also had things to say about Wendy as well, that it seemed like Wendy knew something was going to happen or something like that, and she knew like Dan's schedule. Fuck, I forgot. Oh man, there drops the Wendy's name.
No.
Phone call? Okay. But somehow you learned that Dan Markel was leaving town the day after he was killed.
Yes, ma'am.
So it had to be done that day or he'd be gone.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And that came through Garcia to you from Katie.
Yes, ma'am.
And when you say Wendy, did you know who Wendy was at the time that all this happened?
No, ma'am.
Okay, but you did know there was a lady that you were helping get some kids back in Tallahassee.
Yes, ma'am.
On the bus video, we see somebody in a white shirt kind of jumping around in the passenger seat. Is that Mr. Garcia?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember what was happening when he was doing all that jumping around?
Trying to get
He
amped
was
up.
trying to hide a gun. If I'm not mistaken, he was trying to hide it.
States Exhibit 40. Is this Mr. Garcia? Is he your passenger?
Yes, ma'am.
States Exhibit 41. He's the passenger that was jumping around when we saw the car in Tallahassee on the bus video?
Absolutely.
Did you know that the dentist had a safe full of money?
No.
Did you know that the dentist was going to be paying for at least part of this murder?
No.
And if you had known that the dentist had a safe full of money, would you have driven all the way to Tallahassee to do the murder to then get the money?
No.
What would have been a better idea?
Overall, he has knowledge of
To rob the dentist.
actions and what he was thinking at the time.
Well,
Answer the question.
What would you have preferred to do to get the money?
I went and robbed them myself.
Did you suggest to Garcia on the way up to Tallahassee?
That's pretty darn honest. It's like, why would I murder someone when I could just rob someone, and that's less, it's like a lesser felony.
That y'all could just go to whoever had the money and rob them instead of doing this murder?
I had mentioned something like that, yes.
But that Garcia said that wouldn't work, right?
No.
That was a good end for the state's direct examination. Now, did it seem like it was a little bit rehearsed? It kind of does. We're going to now do a cross-examination by Jackie Fulford. Jackie, you better watch out.
Good afternoon, Mr. Garcia.
Excuse me?
I said good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I missed it the first time. The reason why he reacted that way is because she addressed him as Mr. Garcia, who was the other hitman.
You knew he was going to be going to the gym, right?
I didn't know he was going to the gym. I just followed him.
You followed him to the gym?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you followed him to his house.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's where he was killed.
Yes, ma'am.
And the woman who wanted him to be killed, past you and Sigfredo and Katie, the woman who wanted him to be killed was Wendy Adelson, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
It was she wanting her children, correct?
Absolutely.
Oh, blame it on Wendy. All right, so we blamed it on Charlie. Now we blaming it on Wendy.
Mr. Garcia, I'm going to show you what
With Mr. Rivera.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I am so
Twice.
sorry.
Ooh, strike two. But you know what? A trial's happening. It's a lot of pressure. It happens.
I apologize. Mr. Rivera, I'm going to show you what's been marked as Defendant's Exhibit 50. Could you take a look at that and tell me if you recognize that?
Yeah.
Dude, when she said good afternoon, he was like, excuse me? That was a little scary. Oh, dude. Okay. He a little scary.
Then I ask you if the two people on the top of the page who have their pictures there and the names Donna Adelson and Harvey Adelson, you see those on the top?
Yes, ma'am.
I ask you, as far as you know, were they involved in any of this? And you said no, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So I ask you to put X's next to the people who on that page were not involved in this.
Yes, ma'am.
And you did that.
Yes, I did.
Thank you.
She said Donald Adelson. Anyways, that is the end for day one. That is it for day one. Let me know what you guys think of the trial so far. Usually in the very beginning, it's a slow start, but I am looking forward to some of the testimonies of Wendy Adelson, Charlie Adelson, Jeffrey Lacoste, and maybe Catherine McMahon and the other hitmen. So we'll see where this case goes. We'll see if we get a glimpse of what the state could possibly have on Wendi Adelson, or, you know, maybe nothing at all. I don't know. I'm not really too confident. I feel like, I don't know. I don't think anything's gonna happen to Wendi. I honestly don't. Come watch the trial with us. We're gonna be watching this live. Now, I didn't have my camera on this time, but I will have my camera on the rest of the trial. So I'll see you guys. Feel free to stop by, say hello to the live streams, and I will see you guys in the next one. Feel free to join the Discord, get your notifications on. I appreciate y'all. See ya. Bye.